My name is Victor.
Hello. This is new episode of KSM Podcast Going Business Online with Kristina.
Yeah.
And today I have my special guest, Mr. Victor Hunter from far away from Australia. Victor, welcome to the new episode of KSM Podcast.
Welcome, thank you. My name's Victor Hunter. I'm a traditional owner of the Nyikina, with the Nyikina Aboriginal people in the West Kimberley region of Western Australia. And I've we've got a lot of problems in across the board with everything to do with early childhood, employment, education, health, housing. And so I've looked at what to do. And when I was lecturing in the University on Aboriginal Studies, I had this idea that because just drawing an analogy, that the Aboriginal people and the non-Indigenous people in Australia were like railway lines. They ran side by side, but they never met. So I then set out to see if I could create an environment where people could be working together from both groups. And so I went with my friend, Melanie Hogan, I went to the northern beaches of of Sydney and got people who were interested in working with and encouraging people back home. So we now have a big project. It's a major project to create a sustainable community that was self-sufficient. And the community is called Pandanus Park, the Aboriginal Corporation. And the Aboriginal word for it is Yumalin. And in that community, there's about 30 houses at present. But what we're going to do is create employment opportunities within the community for people to build their own houses and create a community orchard, community garden, and a commercial nursery. And to help them do that, I've got and help from the non-Indigenous community, where I've got architects, engineers, building surveyors, town planners, builders, and looking at bringing those people over to spend time in the community working alongside the local people. And so there's a two-way learning experience for people. And I think by doing that, and with the aim, not just having the people come themselves, but they come with their families. And if we can provide accommodation for them, then we can have people taking them out along the river and showing them the local bush medicines and bush tucker. And there's hopefully we can have all this done. And an important part of what we're doing is to have a longitudinal study, so that, and we have a professor from the Curtin University, Professor Mike Dockery, and he has agreed to train local people to collect data on people in the community as to what they're doing and see the pathways, not only for the people who work on projects that we create in the community, but also in the households and the children of the people that work with us, so that we don't have a generational situation where we're trying to help the grandchildren of the people that we're working with now in the future. And we've got plans that have been done by our architects after talking with the people in the community. We've taken those plans back to the people and shown them and got their approval. And so now we're looking at the different methods of construction to build the houses, and also in the making of their own furniture for the houses. So it's a long-term project, but the main aim of the project is to get people doing things for themselves. And because when I talk about some of the statistics, one example that stands out and is mostly really terrible is the cost of incarcerating Indigenous Australians Australia-wide as at February 2019 was $8 billion a year, and projected to blow out to just under 20 billion by 2040 if we don't have programs that to stop that from happening. So when I talk about Indigenous people when I was lecturing, what I would tell people is that in the Kimberleys and the Pilbara, we are the third biggest industry after mining and cattle. We compete with construction for third place in terms of bringing in money into the region, because Indigenous people are the people who get sick, are creating antisocial behaviour, getting to the attention of the police, going to court, going to get incarcerated, and having funerals. Because the life expectancy of an Indigenous male is about 61, 62. For Indigenous females, it's around about 64, 65. So we're trying to look at addressing everything in a holistic way rather than sort of working in compartments.
I wanted to ask you, Victor, when did you start your foundation? And this is really amazing what you do for your community, just to help people to get knowledge, to build the house for them, to do it many good things for your Aboriginal community.
We're talking about 2 years ago now, and before this, I started another foundation called Foundation Indigenous Sustainable Health. But the people I was working with were wanting to save Aboriginals rather than get Aboriginals to help themselves. And that's why I left them, because we need to have housing, and that's a big need all over Australia. And that's one of the things that is in the pipeline, is we're developing a community housing cooperative, and we're creating employment or training and employment opportunities for Aboriginals who are low security in prisons to work with us, and I'm negotiating that at present, and so that when they come out, they're guaranteed an employment opportunity. And not only do we have people that we will be engaging and working with us to work with the families and the people in the community, because the social and the financial support has got to be provided to show them that it is. Because why I say financial support, because in any business, it's not how much money you turn over, it's how much of that money that sticks to you. and nothing sticks to the Aboriginal people. And I'm talking about the ordinary Aboriginal people who need help the most, because all the comfort things like alcohol, drugs, and poverty are the three things that is constant with them. And the only thing that you can say that's good about those things is that they don't discriminate. So, and the philosophy that we're working on to bring about change is that change will only happen for the people for whom change is necessary when they themselves do something about it. And so what we're doing from our Liyan Foundation is creating the pathways for people to be able to start doing things for themselves and their children. Because there has to be role models, and the best role models are starting within the family groups. And one key thing that we will be doing is working with the grandmothers in the communities, because when government goes to the Aboriginal communities, they go and talk to the men. They don't talk with the grandmothers.
And how grandmothers can help community? When you mentioned that you wanted to talk to the grandmothers, what do they need? What do they do for community? How do you think that they can help it? Just to explain for the audience, just to be much more clear on that.
Well, what happens generally is that because the youngest grandmother that I've had I've met in my life was 27, and so what happens is that sex becomes the currency because of the poverty and all that sort of thing. So what happens is that you're having children, and you've got this problem now with the access to alcohol. You have fetal alcohol syndrome disorder. That's what's just now a new thing that's come on the horizon, and they call it FASD, but there's no government programs at present to tackle FASD, and we now have the situation where children are being born and diagnosed as FASD because both parents have been FASD already. And so when you talk about the grandmothers, by default, the mothers leave the grandchildren with the grandmother, and whenever there's any problems, they go and see the grandmother, but the government doesn't talk to the grandmothers. They talk to the men in the community. And so I'm using that model of that the community uses, where everything is left to the grandmothers to deal with. So I'm making that into a focal point to work with them. And whenever there's a project like building a house, see the grandmother, then the grandmother picks all the people that she's responsible for to work on that house. We don't get people from different family groups to work on a project. Every individual project is managed by one grandmother, and then the builders and the tradespeople work with the grandmother and our representatives.
And when you mentioned grandmother, you mentioned 27 years old. Like they're so young, grandmothers.
Yeah, that grandmother, she died at 53, 54.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting.
And so what you're looking at is diet related, because when I talk about comfort foods, comfort things that Aboriginal people have in the community, fast foods, all the takeaway foods, there's their diet. So early cirrhosis of the liver, diabetes, all the ailments that are preventative, and obesity, all of these things are all preventative. But no one is looking at that. So that's why we've got to look at what it is we need to do to get people to understand. And education is the vehicle. So we will be building our own school, or the community will be building their own school. We've got people designing the school, designing the medical clinic, the dental clinic, all of these things, because we've got building systems that we can create and develop in the community. And we've got the people from outside who've already committed to coming in and helping us. Not just me, but helping the people in the community. And the two things that I'm saying are important or three things rather. First and foremost, anyone who comes and works with us has to have a medical clearance from a doctor to say that they're fit and able to work. And behind that line of thinking is that in Aboriginal culture, natural death is not what they sort of see. They always believe that someone killed somebody. And so that's why I'm saying I need them to have a medical certificate to say, from a doctor, to say that they're fit and able to work, because we're talking about generational unemployment. We're talking because see, here in where the region where I live in Western Australia, Aboriginal people had only had 120 years of white contact. So that's when when the Kimberley was colonised was 120 years ago. And the first house that people moved into in remote Fitzroy Crossing was in the early 1980s. Prior to that, they were just camping around on cattle stations or pastoral properties. And here in the Kimberleys, the pastoral properties are massive. You can have a cattle station the size of Italy, and the cattle are what they call free range. They just roam around, and now that they're making smaller fences and that. But it's you have to come here and be taken around and shown around to see things. Now, there's three interesting things that I can tell you about Australia in terms of people and horses. In Australia, horses have their birthday. Every horse has their birthday on the 1st of August. With migrants who come here without documentation to Australia, people who make an assessment of how old they are, but their date of birth on their documentation is the 1st of the 1st of whatever year they think they were born. For Indigenous Australians who don't have any documentation, because they were born in the bush, they weren't born and registered at birth, their birthday is the 1st of July of however year they look at. So this is the situation we've got, and in terms of documentation. And added to all of that, prior to 1967, Aboriginal people in Australia were not ever counted in the census, because they were put in with the flora and the fauna, and that occurred up until 1967. And I, as an individual, and our family, because we were Aborigines, right? came under the Native Welfare Act, and they had things like the leprosy line, which was south of here, and if any employer took an Aboriginal south of that leprosy line, they had to sign an agreement that they'd be responsible for getting the person back here. And we've got over 500 different language spoken in Aboriginal languages spoken here in Australia. So it's a job, it's interesting. But the one thing I can say is that I've got the people to do it, and that includes Aboriginal people as well as the professionals and the non-Indigenous people.
It's very interesting. And when you mention your foundation, you have such a great and big things to do that, like to employ them, to educate them, to, it's to build the houses, to change their life either.
Very much so, and that's the good thing is, and it's really a great feeling when people say, Aboriginal people tell me what they've done and how they've done it, and helping people to help themselves, because as an example, I was asked to go on a van that went around every second Tuesday, delivering meals to the low socio-economic area in a town, a big town in New South Wales, and they were handing out meals for free, and they asked me if I wanted to go around with them, and I said to them, "What is your target? Is it 1 million meals a year or zero?" I said, "If it's zero, I'm on board, because we don't want to be giving children of the people we're giving to now, or the grandchildren, a free meal. We need to teach people how to do things for themselves, and that's why I'm saying we are an industry. We create jobs for so many other people to service Aboriginal people."
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, and just is such a great job, for your people, for your community.
We in our foundation, and we need people with a range of skills, and I say to every one of them, you need to have your driver's license, and you also need to have your passport, because we want you to go and see people in other countries and see what they do and how they do things. And when I talked about generational unemployment, they've got no role models in their houses in the dysfunctional communities, right? And so I've said to them, the reason why I want you to get your medical certificate from the doctor is I don't want to be blamed if you die on the job. And I tell them, if you were a motor car, you would have a yellow sticker on you because you're not roadworthy, and you're not able to be doing work not just for 1 day or 2 days, but every day for a whole year until you have your holidays. They've never had a role model in their houses in a lot of cases, where there's people who've got up, got dressed and gone to work and done a day's work because of the high rate of unemployment. We're looking at up to 80-90% in some of these communities where there's no jobs. We're also looking at an attendance rate in schools of around about 40% attendance rates. So these are the sort of things that we're having to tackle. And the only people who can change that are the people themselves.
And when you mention that, for example, for kids, for preschooler, schooler, how is going with this? How other people from other countries or from Australia can help that, just to teach that English language, and how is going with that, like with the educational part in your community?
Well, see, the problem is that if you've got a job, whether you're Aboriginal or non-Aboriginal, and you're servicing Aboriginals, then you've got a job for life if the people don't change and are always need to be have someone to service them and do things for them. And this is why we have to start with a socialist model where we teach people how to do simple things and the importance of diet now, what they put into their bodies now in the way of food, because McDonald's and KFC and all of these things, we need people to stay away from them.
And do Aboriginal people have some kind of their recipe, what they eat, like in nature, or just like what is the most food, existing food, either that fast food, but what in origin, basically what Aboriginal people eat as food?
See, the problem is obesity is a big thing, and you know, like I had a nurse say to me, when a dysfunctional lady from a dysfunctional family, dysfunctional community, leaves hospital with her baby for the first time, that's the last time that baby will know wellness, because that baby will then fail to thrive, because the mothers don't know how to do things to get that baby to develop in every way possible. And the government health body, they in our region here, they have a program called Failure to Thrive Babies. So these babies who don't get the need to rehydrating, they got to go take them to hospital and then rehydrate them and get them the liquids and stuff. And so because the mothers don't know the need for the babies to have the right sort of food and for them to develop, with their brain and everything like that. And so this is all related to the community, and this is why we've got to go back to basics and start teaching people social and financial training in that. And one of the things, you can't leave people out, because you've got to work with everybody in the community. It's got to be a holistic approach, and that's what we're doing.
As you mentioned, you need to start from the basics, and just like when is newborn kids, just to know, for teachers, educated those mothers to raise up their kids as babies from let's say first, second day of birth. So yeah, it's such a big job to help them and educate and start from basics.
Yeah. Oh, very much. But education and travel are the only two things that I see that is going to change the lives of people.
This is so true. And Victor, and just like you share such amazing story today. And what do you think, what kind of help do you need? Like you mentioned that you have maybe to work with people from other countries, but what is the most important part at help and support for your community and your foundation?
Well, see, I'll give you an example. I took a group of 6 Aboriginal men to the University of Western Australia in Perth, and on one occasion we were out in the hallway. I think it was the second day to go into the big meeting, and one of the guys that I had with me, he came up to me and said to me that that's the first time he's ever had a white woman go up to him and talk to him. And I said to him, but in the community you come from, or in the town you come from, there's white nurses and white school teachers and white people in the shops. They talk to you, but he said they get paid to talk to me. This lady doesn't get paid to talk to me. She just came up and talked to me. And I found that very sad. But these are the things, and what can people do? I'm saying if they come here, they've got skills and experiences that the people in the community don't have, and vice versa. The people in the community got skills and experiences that the people who visit don't have. And I'm saying it's those things that have got to be shared between the two people, the people themselves. And uh, I'm everything that people take for granted, because they do it not for recreation. When they go fishing, they don't do it for recreation. They go fishing to survive, whereas a lot of other people go fishing as a recreation. And so there's a whole range of things that people can do, but just interacting and giving people the time of day and listening to Aboriginal people, and it's got to be a two-way process, not one way.
Yeah, I see that. So they don't fish for as a fun stuff. They fish. They need to survive and to get a food for themselves when they
Yes.
fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really interesting, and it has a lot of work and energy and support, and you have a lot strength and force and encouragement to move forward. And I wish you a lot of happiness and success in your community to achieve everything what you put in having content of your foundation.
The most important skill that I've got is listening. So I've got a lot of people telling me what to do.
Yeah, and we need to be good listeners.
Where I've been
However,
so that's where I've been most fortunate, is the ideas that they give me, taking them and putting them into practice, and getting the right people to help me make that happen.
yeah, that's amazing. And Victor, can you share with us? I will put all links to your how listeners can connect with you, maybe just to help you with your foundation. You have your website, you have your social media pages on LinkedIn. I mean,
It's www.Liyan, Liyan foundation.org.au. And I'm on LinkedIn and WhatsApp and Facebook as Vic Hunter on Facebook. And but I'm currently living in New South Wales, on the other side of the Blue Mountains, but I'm going to be moving back here to the Kimberleys, where I am at present, to help manage the projects with all the different people that are coming in. So, and the first thing is we're getting a block making machine, and I'll send you a link to the block making machine that we've got. And interestingly, the block making machine that we're going to be bringing up here to the Kimberley, one has been sent and is currently operating in Ukraine, and using the rubble from the bombed out buildings to make relocatable blocks. And I'll send you the link to that page, but that's just one of the building systems that we'll be using. It's relocatable blocks. And the Ukrainian community in Perth, they raised 120,000 Australian dollars to buy the machine and then ship it to Poland, and from Poland it went by road to Ukraine. So that's
it's
just
so
one of the.
supportive and so helpful. Yeah, you share such amazing story today, and I would like to see you again in my podcast.
Yeah,
It, it,
I'll
it,
send some photos.
it has such a pleasure talking to you today. If we are into different side of the world, in the world. So, Victor, thank you so much for being my special
Thank
guest
you
speaker
very
today. And I
much.
really enjoy your story and see you very
Yeah.
soon in some of other and new episodes this year or next year. And looking forward to collaborate and help each other. And wish you a lot of success to you, good health, and a lot of success to all your community. And maybe when you create something, we will talk about your achievement, what you've done in your community next
Yeah.
year or this year.
We'll
Thank
talk
you so
more.
much. What did you say?
I said, we'll talk some more.
Yeah. Thank you
Okay.
so much, and bye for now.
Bye bye.
Goodbye. Bye bye.